apologize. I look like garbage, but I know some of you are probably been wondering, Chris, you haven't posted all week. What happened? And it's not because I'm sick. That's just kind of a byproduct of how my week's been the last week. But the real reason that we have not been able to post to YouTube was because I got my first channel strike. Now, for those of you that don't know what a channel strike is, it's actually a pretty big deal, which sucks. But basically what that meant was I wasn't allowed to post on YouTube for a week. Not the end of the world, but the reason that it happened was because on one of the podcasts about a month ago, we got hit for what's called, or what they claimed was election fraud misinformation. Now, I went back and I watched it. I tried to appeal. They didn't repeal it or appeal it. And I watched it back on Spotify because all of our podcasts are on Spotify. And there was no... Watching it back, I don't think that we really said anything that I would consider... Like, we never claimed anything, if that makes sense. You're more than welcome to watch it back. I'll leave a link in the description down below. Listen, I have nothing against YouTube. Like, I love YouTube. I love the idea that we are able to make money doing what we love, and I understand that they have certain rules and regulations in play. My problem with it was that a lot of YouTubers have talked about this, but they don't tell you exactly what you said or did that warrants the channel strike. Basically, all they say is, hey, this podcast said misinformation. Please go and we're just going to give you a channel strike. They don't say anything about, hey, could you take this out? Or, hey, can you edit this down? And, you know, I side with YouTube on everything because I truly believe that it is a blessing that we are able to make money, even if it's a penny, doing what we love and what we put our work into, our life's work into, literally. So for them to just say channel strike without telling you exactly what you said, that hurts a lot. That's one of the reasons it's hurt. The second thing that kind of sucks about it is when you do an appeal, that means that first an algorithm has to hit it, which says, hey, this is misinformation. We're going to give you a strike. You set the appeal, and that means that someone at YouTube has to watch it and basically determine if that was, if the algorithm was right or not. Excuse me. Now, again, I don't think that we said anything that I know other podcasts haven't said. For some of you that don't know, I only watch podcasts. I really don't watch that much gaming content, to be honest with you. So I didn't think that we said anything so out of line that we deserved a channel strike. Again, you guys are more than welcome to watch it and tell me if I'm wrong or not. But yeah, it does kind of suck that we got hit with that. I just also wish that they could have said, realistically, whoever's watching it at YouTube probably saw that it was 2.5 hours and didn't bother going through it. And that's completely fine. I get that. It makes complete sense to me that you would listen, you got a job to do, you got other things to do in your day. I get it. You don't have to watch all the way through. I just wish that YouTube could have said to us, hey, this part right here, just take it out and you're good. Now, if I said no, then sure, channel strike. That's fine. But to not tell, even if they said take the whole podcast down, I would have been fine with that. I would have said sure. But to not give any warning on a podcast that was a month ago and then hit me with a channel strike without like any warnings whatsoever, that has to be fixed. And, you know, a lot of YouTubers have talked about this, so I know I'm not the first one to say this. I've just never really seen the behind the scenes of what actually happens when you get one. So it's almost like a blessing because now I understand what we did wrong. And again, I'm not going against YouTube's freedom of speech or whatever. They have their rules. They're my boss. That's how it works. That's fine. But again, I just wish they could have been more specific on what we said and would have just said, hey, just take this out and we're good. Again, completely fine with that. I have no issues with that. But what really hurts the most, and this is for me personally, and I might sound like someone who's complaining, but, and again, you've probably heard this from me a crap ton of times, but I've been on YouTube for 10 years now, right? I have 1,600 videos, which is like the top 1% of YouTubers in the sense of how many videos they have. I've never gotten traction on YouTube, and that's fine. That's not a problem to me. I understand that's just how the cards play. But now I started a podcast a month ago, and now I'm going to get hit for that when zero of my videos have ever gotten traction. And again, I'm not complaining. That could just be on me and not knowing how to work YouTube's algorithm or having whatever YouTube wants in their big YouTubers and stuff. But to go after a podcast that I think at the time had 10 views, and I think it still does, that kind of tells me two things. One of two things. First, it tells me that YouTube already has picked who they're going to support, which is going to be the big YouTubers, which I guess is understandable from the perspective of their business and making money. The other one is whenever you upload a video, they offer you a promotion to basically boost this video in the algorithm. It scares me to think that YouTube is becoming pay to win now, so to speak. That makes sense to you gamers, but basically it's like pay this much to promote your video and you'll be at the top. Now again, I'm not against that if that's what they want to do. We're all playing algorithms, the same algorithm ideally. Again, I don't know how it works. I have ideas because I've just been on YouTube for so long. But what does this mean? Now, a couple things it means for us. First off, I can't really afford another channel strike so for those of you that don't know, it goes copyright warning strike was my first one. So we used to play Rocksmith on stream, and I thought that if you didn't monetize, you really wouldn't get in trouble for it because, again, I'm not making money on it. Turns out that the music industry is so unbelievably corrupt. It's insane, which, again, that's not new information. But, yeah, so that was my first warning, and that was probably about 2 years ago. And then now I just got hit for this one. And it has an expiration date of March 6th, but that doesn't, I don't know how that works. I'll have to find out in March 6th. But basically, I don't know if it goes away to just the channel warning or if that strike stays there. But then I don't know what the point of the expiration is, but I'd love to ask someone on YouTube. What sucks, being a small creator, is we don't have YouTube contacts to reach out to get these things, not even fixed. I just want to know what caused it. Like, what was their decision making? Why did this get flagged? Why is that in the algorithm, but 1,600 other videos are not getting hit by an algorithm? So for me, it's like, what do we do? Right? What do we do? Because I want to have the podcast. The podcast is a project that I love working on, even though it is time consuming. I wanted to add it to the channel. So the first thing that people said when we streamed on all the other platforms was, hey, start a new channel and just put your podcast on there. And I said, hey, that's a great idea. But for those of you that don't know, there was a couple months ago, there was a YouTuber named Steve Will Do It, part of the Nelk Boys or whatever, who got caught on one of his channels gambling, right? He got that channel and all of his other channels taken down for what he did on a separate channel. So I can't really trust that starting a new podcast on another channel won't affect the main Pancake 101 channel. And that sucks, but also I understand YouTube's perspective of, like, you can't just keep starting new channels and getting away with certain things. So I don't think it's worth it to me to start a new channel for the cake shop. I think what I truly think I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the cake shop on Spotify rather than so the ones with my mom especially on Spotify, and then all my brothers and stuff and whoever else we have on will be on the main channel, unless it's too political. And I'll have to make that decision when it comes to editing time. But here's the other reason why this sucks and why I don't want to start a new channel just for the podcast. When you start a new channel, to get into the algorithm, you have to be posting a certain amount of times. I used to think that I could just post whenever and it would just go into the algorithm. That's not how it works. So let's say we do the podcast once a week. Now, first off, I'm getting rid of a time slot on the main channel because now I don't have a video for Mondays. I do, but I'm just saying, well, it's not the podcast, so I have to figure something out. So honestly, the main channel is fine. The problem is the podcast channel, because if I'm not posting regularly, it doesn't get into the algorithm. Now, I know a once a week podcast is fine, but you also have to do the clips for the podcast. You also have to do social media just for that podcast. You have to build yourself into the algorithm. And the truth is, when you have as many videos as I do, and then I'm on a pretty regimented schedule in the sense of how I do my videos, I am one man with one computer with one router. It is too much to be able to manage 2 channels simultaneously, 6 posts a week minimum. Well, it's really 4 posts a week minimum on 2 separate channels. Now, for the Pancake 101 channel, I've already been doing that, so that's not changing. I just don't know if I could do it by myself for a second channel, especially on the podcast. And that was before I even thought about the fact the Steve will do it situation. So that's why I can't really separate the 2 channels, why it doesn't really make sense. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to do what I said. We're going to post it to Spotify. We'll keep most of the podcasts on YouTube. The ones with my mom, we're definitely going to... I don't believe in censorship. Like, I think we should be allowed to say whatever we want. And I'm not going to say... I'm not going to turn away from YouTube because, again, they have their set of rules. I want to make that clear. They're my boss. They have the right to do that. That's fine. So I think, if anything, we're going to have a very edited down version of my mom's podcasts on YouTube, and then one on Spotify. The problem is they're not really podcasts at that point. They're like 30-minute videos because that's just how much politics we go into when we do the podcast. So I would just say watch this podcast on Spotify. We're still going to post it on YouTube, really just for algorithm's sake. But I understand that most of you, or maybe not all of you, use Spotify, but I would greatly appreciate it if you checked it out on Spotify. It's actually a lot better on Spotify, in my opinion, just because of the quality and a lot of other things. But besides that, I think that's going to be the future of the podcast until one day, and hopefully sometime soon, I can get a team to do a secondary channel and actually work the algorithm and do that stuff, social media. That's probably how we're going to do it, and then do a separate Google account. Because, right, if you make a new account, it's going to be under your Google account. I'd have to make a whole new Google account. But I don't, that's a path I don't really plan on taking, just because, again, I'm one man. Everything else is going to be the same, but I will have to be a little more careful with what we say on the podcast. I think, here's another little side note. One of the things I do with the podcast, because it's not really gaming, I put it under the news and politics category, which might have had an effect. I'm not sure. Again, there's no one I can go out and ask at YouTube to tell me if I'm right or wrong. But maybe I'll just start leaving the podcasts under entertainment rather than gaming, because it's not truthfully gaming. But yeah, I think that's what we're going to do from now on. We'll just move it to Spotify. If anyone has any other ideas, I'd love to hear them. But yeah, everything else is going to be the same. I'm obviously a little backed up on videos right now because I had so much to post last week and I haven't been able to. One on Seatown Zombies, which Jason and I did 2 weeks ago, which might be too outdated now. And then a couple other videos that I had to scrap, that hurts. That hurts a little bit. But again, hopefully it doesn't happen again. I really wish YouTube was a little more straightforward with us. I wish I understood a little better how the algorithm worked. But again, hopefully, if there are some changes, I'll let you know. If anything, the biggest change that's going to happen is one that I'm not sure about yet, which is streaming to TikTok. What sucks about TikTok is that they don't give you stream keys anymore. You have to use their app, which is not, it's not ready. It's just not. It's a terrible app. I'm sorry, TikTok. Excuse me. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Hopefully you guys understand, and hopefully you guys follow along with the changes and join Spotify. But again, it'll still be on YouTube, just different version, very edited down version until we figure out what's going on. But Spotify for the best stuff. So yeah, hopefully you guys still keep up with everything. And again, Discord down below if you want to ask questions and post some more stuff. If anything, what we really need more is for you guys to be more involved so that we have stuff to talk about on the podcast, so that we can do like a 2.5 hour podcast rather than just like a 1:45, because we're just answering questions. And again, no questions wrong. Like it doesn't have to just be gaming. It could be politics. It could be freaking whatever, dating advice, whatever you want to ask, like me and my mom and brothers. But yeah, anyway, join the Discord, social media down below, promo codes down below, other stream links down below, and we will be back on schedule the day this video comes out. So yeah, thanks guys. Peace.